I just wanted to listen to that song a little bit more this time. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 9, I think, probably.
Yes.
Of Spike Drop. It just feels, man, these episodes have kind of blurred together. We've had to miss a couple. We've been busy. KickedTripod here with Yiska and Volamel, here to chat some Valorant on Spike Drop. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to find us on Twitter at Spike Drop, Twitch, twitch.tv/KickedTripod, and youtube.com/Spike Drop. And, of course, big thanks to Blue for the music. Appreciate you. Let's get going with the things. Hey, guys. Sup?
What up?
Sup.
What's up?
I just watched King of the Hill for the fourth time, I think, ever. Like, all the way through, all 13 seasons. It's so funny. Have you ever seen King of the Hill, Yiska?
Is that the Pocket Sand show?
What? No. King of the Hill television show.
No, that is the Pocket Sand.
Pocket Sand?
Sure.
Yeah.
What is Pocket Sand?
I don't know.
He pulls sand from his pocket and throws it at someone, right? Pocket Sand. Is that not from that show? Like, let me find.
Oh,
you a
is that when
screenshot.
Dale does the? Is that one of like Dale's thing where Dale screams "Pocket Sand"? Shasha,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like you would laugh so hard during that show because it's all just like the funny and like American suburban trope things. I feel like you'd find it really funny. It gets better every time I watch it, which is weird.
The thing is, I wonder if at some point it would get old. Like, yeah, that's funny, but it's like
It
if that's the
It didn't for me, man.
no, that's maybe it's just a cultural thing, you know, like different. But I also have never in my life rewatched a show 4 times, so I cannot.
Yeah, no.
Like I honestly, there's maybe one show that I've watched twice.
So I should probably qualify watching, right? So like there's like active watching where like you sit down at the end of the day and you like put on a show and you're watching it. You're not texting, you're not doing anything else. Like I go to bed watching TV. And so like I'm on my phone, I've got something going on in the background, and then I just basically let Hulu or Netflix like queue up episodes until I fall asleep and then turn my iPad off. I have this like little iPad holder that hooks onto our headboard. And so my iPad is just suspended. And then I can just watch TV right there. It's amazing. It's an innovation. So like, we like go through all of like these shows over and over and over again. The Office, the How I Met Your Mother, what else? Like King of the Hill, Bob's Burgers. And we just kind of go through all these episodes or all these shows, just kind of like passively watching. That's why I'm like, I don't have I've through 4 times of watching. I can't tell you what a bunch of them are because I fell asleep during them or I wasn't paying attention. But they're so funny.
Yeah,
they're so funny. It was so good. Anyways, people don't want to hear about my content consumption habits. If you are hanging out with us in chat, we are going to be doing a game night directly after the show. It's going to be a ton of fun, so make sure to come hang out. And let's talk about Valorant. What's on the docket, dude? What do you want to talk about today?
I mean, I think it'd be remiss if we didn't chat up the Immortals First Light tournament, which I think is our first in a good event. This is probably the best event that we've gotten so far, with a smattering of good teams and some, amateur kind of promising teams that we're starting to see kind of bud out and do well. So I'm happy that we got to see this event. Some surprising results. Get to see C9 in their kind of roster, but not roster because nobody else has been signed yet. We just have a bunch of temporary stand-ins. But I mean, if we're being honest, like,
so
we'll see.
Yeah.
But
So the first light tournament, for those who like haven't got to watch, haven't stayed up, it was a $10,000 invitational. That was just like a single elimination bracket. It was Immortals, Gen.G, TSM, Cloud9, Code 7, Mix Up, Echo 8, and China Win. And yeah, so it's just like, I mean, you're talking 8 matches, right? So just kind of very short and sweet, good teams.
Yeah.
The
semifinals onwards was like very good. Like very excited to see this game actually get put onto a stage at some point.
Dude, that is Nicholas Teo.
Yeah. Code 7's like a bunch of Overwatch.
And that's Torque Teo.
Torque TJO and Rob 420. Yeah.
Yep. Rob Wiz.
Dude, my brain is very scattered on the details, so I don't want to condemn anyone, but weren't they cheaters?
I think they were suspected of it back in the day, but
sus.
Or they might have gotten like
nuts
vaxxed
online, and then as soon as they hit offline events, they were absolutely clapped at that one offline event, MLG or whatever it was.
I think they did like okay online, but they weren't like just beating people.
No, they weren't beat like super nuts, but yeah.
I mean, this is like the old like complexity, like you're talking about like complexity Overwatch, like back in the day.
Yeah, it might have been complexity.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
they were okay. They were kind of like known for like, for whatever reason, their servers always crashed, and they'd have to like restart the game.
Yeah,
but I think there was speculation of them like maybe cheating, but I don't know.
Weren't they even banned in CS or VACT or something?
I think they got VACT, but that was also like a good amount of people early on in Overwatch probably have at least like a VAC ban, right? Kids be doing dumb things. Doesn't mean that they're, necessarily cheating in this game, but yeah, I haven't caught any of the Code 7 games. Not super interested. I don't think the TJO brothers are going to be doing much here, but Mix Up though, not bad. Not mad at A Proto. Shout outs. Definitely somebody to keep your eye on if you're like, oh, I want to be a hipster and get ahead of the curve. Keep your eye on Mix Up and A Proto. Hoppin was good too. Definitely good. Good rifles on him.
I saw Jack play in Valhalla, and he stepped in as a sub, so there was like a lot. There was a lot of moving pieces to that, but yeah. So that's interesting. Cool to see him play.
Yeah.
In another high profile match or a tournament.
I think the narrative around C9 and their game versus Mix Up was very TENS favored, which is due. I mean, you don't drop like 36 and 18 and not like get some credit where credit's due. Like this kid actually put on a backpack. But Mix Up took them close, and this is like Cloud9's not bad. So I think Mix Up probably deserves some looks for some orgs or maybe just picked apart from other teams like Cloud9 and giving 10 some help, because I think that's probably the biggest thing is like outside of Mitch, I didn't see anybody consistently like helping him get things done on the server. TENS is a god. Like TENS is like actually nuts. But they struggled to get much done outside of like him like popping off. It was like him and Mitch. Outside of that, wasn't super impressed with the roster overall. So hopefully these stand-ins aren't completely permanent and you can maybe take someone like Hoppin. I know A Proto and TENS might have a similar kind of agent pool, but yeah, I think C9's got a good base. Same thing with Immortals. I was actually pleasantly surprised with Immortals. A lot of names that were kind of bits and pieces kind of thrown together. Pleasantly surprised. I think this might be a hot take. I want to like if Immortals played C9, I actually think Immortals probably would have beat them. I think they looked very, very coherent. Seemed to have a decent game plan. Also had like solid like fraggers in server. I think Immortals probably is just a better team on average, whereas C9 with TENS can like have higher peaks and just kind of pop off, take over games, stuff like that.
Let's talk about TENS specifically. Do you think that is a player that in a year or let's say a year and a half will still be as top tier as he is now?
I think so. This is a kid that has an op, that has a rifle, that he doesn't look like he has a bad side of his game. Like the way that he uses Raze's abilities, the way like everything, he seems like he has a full game plan. He has a full kind of profile around him that I think he's a safe bet to go forward.
that involves putting the coin under the W key. Like, I think this is not gonna fly. Of course, people can change in that regard.
Sure.
I'm not denying him the potential growth there, but that kind of playstyle just doesn't work. Like, just like it didn't work like that in CSGO for Stewie when he came out of FPL pushing smokes like a moron. Like, that kid gotta learn, or he's gonna like this aim that he has, or his mechanics that will very soon be equalized by the new talent.
100%. I agree. And like, but that's why I go in a year, he's still going to be around. He'll still be good.
Yeah, I think he'll still be good. Like that's definitely probably the case. I just don't know if these types of players will remain ace players in this game. I think it's more like the mad smart people that navigate, because like already I feel like we're getting to the spammy parts of the utility, and as soon as we use that even better, like it's much less about these straight up aim duels. And people get like confused when I, for instance, said that like that Korea does this already, in a sense, where a lot of people said, well, NA does this. Yes, NA does this too, just not in the frequency that you see it in like, I'm not denying anyone that NA buys abilities and then just runs in whenever and like just never uses them because they look pretty on the bottom bar. It's like the first engagements before the first kills fall, like half of the utility is blown into the first angle where you expect someone. Like, let's say you run up a bind A.
Okay, sure.
They will 100% cut off sight and will push into U-Haul like beasts while spamming 10 abilities into U-Haul. So you're equal, like at the same time you're frozen, like flashed in a smoke, crying for your mom, and then you die. That's basically the iteration, and then like that's the first kill of the round, and that I feel is very different. Yes, there are defaults, for instance, like the defaults I looked at for T1, like on Ascent. Yes, like they have these initial engages all using utility, and the way they use breach is kind of sweet. Yeah, that's definitely the case. It's just not that literally 5 people throw in their utility into a corner to definitely get the first pick.
Well, I think to your point, this tournament in general and this kind of like meta shift with the most recent patch definitely kind of amplifies your argument now that breach has kind of a secondary option in Phoenix. You're seeing a lot of teams, instead of using breach, which I think is the best choice for an initiator, for an entry person, or to somebody to support an entry, you're seeing that now fall into Phoenix's lap, which is still very good. His flashbang's obviously getting buffed, but yeah, you're seeing a lot of abilities just being winged around corners, just brute forcing your way onto sites, which isn't bad, but it's going to be the name of the game for a while until somebody comes up with something different. I think C9 in general had like a very interesting way to play, specifically bind against TSM, I think it was. Where they actually picked double smokes, so they had Brim and Omen.
Yes,
and were forced to kind of play very slow, methodical. Had some like cheeky ways to abuse Raze's Boombot, going through teleporters and opening the door, allowing their Omen to kind of TP and play angles you wouldn't normally expect without having to give off the audio cue of going through the teleporter. So that was actually super interesting. They have a very smart way to play, but it feels like they don't have the consistency in players in terms of like these mechanical duels. They have 10s that definitely can just take over a game. Obviously he did, but everybody else, again, outside of Mitch, who I think is probably the only other player on that team that has consistently shown up, pretty absent-minded, pretty forgettable, pretty fine. And then you look at teams like TSM that you go down the list and almost anybody outside of maybe Hazed can like absolutely pop off and have fantastic games. Same with Gen G.
You think that?
Yeah, Hazed has not really. At least in this event.
I think there's more on that roster that can't. I feel like both Cutler and Hazed play exactly to their age.
Cutler's fine. I think Cutler's like you're like a fraggy kind of support character where at the worst he's just gonna like entry for you and like anchor like side ankles, and he can have his games. Like he's not fantastic, but good piece. Again, kind of veteran presence, hopefully. Same with Hazed, again, playing to his age. But Wardell, Sub Rosa, and Drone, surprisingly enough, not somebody who I remember coming from CSGO, but having a fantastic performance, one of the better Phoenix I've seen. Immortals in general. A lot of just like underrepresented names kind of coming in and really kind of stepping forward and doing really well. Props to Gunba as well. Yeah. Looking fantastic. So yeah, this was a good one. If you haven't kind of caught this, I think this will get you excited for the T1 X Nerd Street Gamers showdown that's coming up within the coming months. I think the qualifiers are this weekend. This should get you excited for actual good tournaments and not these kind of streamer one-off events.
I'll also straight up tell you, like, TSM's tournament record is nutty.
Bonkers. Yeah.
They actually lost a tournament game. Is Liquipedia off here or?
I think maybe as Mouse Baz they might have, but
I'm not even sure.
They place well, regardless.
They in the Pittsburgh Knights tournament they lost. Then there are some tournaments where where it's a little dodgy, but
and I mean this is the core of the team that took T1 in the Twitch Rivals tournament to game point.
Yeah,
they had Myth.
A team called Together We Are Terrific. Who is on that?
Couldn't tell you.
That's a good question.
Not a clue.
Calypso is on that one. Caboose.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I think TSM is a good team in terms of like, as far as I remember, that's basically the old CLG CSGO roster, right?
Yep. Sub Rosa, Cutler, Hazed. The only person that I think that is playing now that they're missing is probably FNS, who's playing on another team that I've heard good things from, but I haven't actually seen play an event yet. So keep an eye out for FNS's team. Super good, like NA caller and kind of all around good player.
Yeah, I think there's always a career halftime. Like, yes, I also agree that people can play for a long time. It's just like it's very obvious that Wardell and Saprosa are the crown jewels.
Wardell's an absolute nut. Yeah, I wouldn't. Don't count out Drone. Drone has significantly like grown on me. I kind of was putting him in that kind of bottom half. I think he's a good like anchor for this team that will always just perform. Like he's not gonna always top frag. He has the potential to, but he also just won't be absent. He very rarely in the games that I've watched is like just completely missing shots. Like Color can miss duels sometimes. Hazed can just take an aim duel and lose. Drone is just a good player, consistent, all around good piece for this team. I think they have to be in the discussion for the best team at the moment. I know everybody wants to kind of, look at T1 and look at that complete star-studded roster with Skadoodle and Brax and the coaching staff's insane. My problem, not sure if we want to get super into it, is they haven't shown up to anything yet.
They have, but like really not with the frequency that you want them to.
Yeah.
Dude, there's little things that I hate as much as people only showing up for the tournaments that their orgs are hosting. Yeah. Like, come on, man.
It's frustrating because you want to see them. Like, I want to see what T1 looks like versus a full TSM team. I want to see, T1 play against C9, who I think is a good team in the grand scheme of things. But in terms of the top teams, I think they're a bit hit and miss. I think they could probably go off and win an event. and then immediately get bottomed out and lose in like the round of 16 in the next event. I think they're very flashy right now, whereas I think they could grow into something super consistent in the future with a couple pieces, with a whole roster being signed, obviously. But I think Immortals, again, is going to be a consistent top performer. I don't think we'll win anything. I don't think they have the oomph. I think JC Stanny, super, not a name that I was super familiar with. Bjor, obviously coming from some of the closed tournaments. I think, was it Lifters? I remember their logo. Big frames. Yeah, Immortals in general, I think, is going to be a team that grows within the next year, whereas C9 actually needs a roster to get like for me to have like a proper read. But if this was the roster that they were going to sign, I think they have the oomph to win something, but won't be consistent. I think they need like something more.
I also straight up tell you, I'm not going to let you get away with this, like pick and choosing tournaments when you feel hot and whatnot, and then proclaim you as the best tournament team in the tournament. Either you play the majority of those, and yes, of course, there's like weekends where it's like, oh yeah, this guy needs to do this. No biggie here, right? Like no problem.
Sure. But if there's a big event, show up.
You got to show up, or you can't be the best team. Very easy. Like, and especially, haven't they lost the last time in the finals when they met TSM?
Who, T1?
Yeah. Wasn't that something?
I don't think so.
I'm not 100% sure. Felt like T1 at least has lost a final to someone. And Liquipedia is currently kind of buggy, but like, feel like
the only one that I'm recalling off the top of my head that I saw was obviously the Twitch Rivals one, but they won that. It was very close with TSM having to run Myth as their kind of captain, whereas T1 had Brax as their captain, or they just filled in the blanks with the rest of their roster. But that was a full series. That was 13-12 versus a team that had a ringer. So I think there is a discussion for the best team at the moment, and I think you could put TSM there. I think you could argue that T1 is there, and I think there's an argument to say that either one. There isn't one just yet because we haven't seen them kind of face off to kind of decide who's going to be the best. Not to beat a dead horse, but was pleasantly surprised that Gen G kind of had some troubles. Again, another team that I kind of expected to come into this tournament and do super well, kind of got bottomed out by not only Immortals but Cloud9. So that was kind of shocking, kind of surprising. Nothing is as it seems, and that even goes as far as the meta. We're seeing teams explore compositions with, I think it was like triple duelists, and Rain is getting played. I'm interested to ask Gunba a couple questions on why exactly we're playing Rain all of a sudden. My stance on her, but Sage is getting some lower play time. Getting double really. Smokes. Not.
I think she was
100%. Like
it's not 100%,
but 94 or 95 type thing. Like I think there was like two maps.
I thought
where
it was like down closer to like 80.
Really?
I'd guess it was around 80, but I haven't seen all the games yet. So there's definitely
Cypher Cam.
Yeah, I messaged Broy, see if he's going to do anything with it. So hopefully, fingers crossed that we get some stats on that, because this is an event that I actually am interested to see. Like,
let me actually
what those look like.
This up because I think Strong did an analysis piece that I remember, and I think in it said, "Are we talking generally or recently?" Are we talking about
just in this on this patch in this event? There was a surprising amount of Sage not being played. Echo 8 in their match against TSM did not play any Sage. Code 7 did not play Sage. Immortals did not play, or no, Immortals. No, I'm blind. Never mind. I'm just. Disregard the last 5 seconds of whatever I just said.
So why do you guys think that is? Do you think it's because of the wall radius that like you have to be you can't push it out as far? Is it the cost changes? Is it just like the natural evolution of the game? Like where people are viewing the wall as a much less effective tool to like people are finally shooting it and just like whatever kind of things. We had that discussion I think last time. And
yeah, I don't know.
Dude, I feel Cypher is way more replaceable than Sage, even though if what you said is true, that isn't represented in the stats. But like if you think about Cypher utility, Cypher utility can be countered by simply playing quickly. Yes, you're going to make a tell with the with hitting the wires, but if you're going quickly into the side, that doesn't mean someone's getting info that they can really convert on. You cannot do that with Sage. Yes, you can burst the wall down quicker, but you cannot pass a slow orb quicker because you're 5, because you're aggressive. So
you don't. It doesn't have to be quicker though. It just has to be quick enough, right? Like,
but it can't be, right?
I mean, and I think that's probably a more nuanced argument. Is how quickly do you need to get through the Sage orb for that to be more effective than Cypher being able to see exactly where you're coming from and, at least getting first shot from an unexpected angle. And being able to call it out to the team.
Nobody with Assault is going to be caught out by a tripwire, right? Like you shoot it and then you got to get peeked on and then hopefully someone has your angle and at least trades you, right?
But I think that's the selling point for Sage for me. Is that you might be able to see like through a wall or be identified like across the map that I'm pushing this way. But if my whole team's pushing in this direction to attack and execute on this site, then I really don't care. But if multiple people are pushing the same angle, which in some cases is the only angle to be able to push through, all of us being slowed versus one of us being like tagged for a second, definitely one has a lot more value than the other. Cypher anchors well, which I would say is the best. He's the best anchor and gives you the safest vision. I will say I still think he's much more defensively favored, and I think there's a world where you could replace him with a Sage and free up some spots there. But yeah, I don't know with the whole Sage replacement argument. I still think the wall's very good. I think the orb's very good. I think the heal's nice. I really could care less with the res. It's useful, but kind of difficult to have the perfect kind of, when you think of resurrection, you think of like this, it's so broken, like you just get an extra person. It's like, well,
yeah, that's weird.
It's a little bit more nuanced.
It really isn't.
Than that.
It really is
not.
Yeah.
More
I saw that
on
the Bloodshed episode as well, where like they were talking about how Resurrect was somehow broken. That's more based on the idea of what it does in this game, not actually like number analysis, where it really isn't that bonkers.
No. And I in a vacuum, if you could get them off safely all the time, it is an insane ability. The problem is, if I kill somebody, their body is now captured by me because I'm holding that angle. I've won that duel. You can't just peek me. So you either investing the wall and the res, which can be bursted down if there's a person standing behind me. We can kind of push that wall down quickly, get the res kill. It takes forever for that person to actually get off the ground and become alive again. So it's more often than not kind of dead.
Also, right? Like
eco reses I think are super. Weirdly enough, that might be the best value that you can get right now. That's like safe. Is just like have a gun. If we rewrite the ability to say have a free gun, I'm not super thrilled by it, but it might be the safest option.
It seals rounds. That's what it does. Like I see it used. I bet if we had a breakdown when it's used, it's like used in 3v2 situations where you're already up.
Push it. Yeah.
And then you just push it. You get the value. Like it's not a value loss necessarily for your team by having used the ultimate, but you actually keep the economy going and you very much secure the round in a like 100% numbers advantage, right? Like a double. So that's probably the best usage for and then it makes sense that in those situations you get like 5% win, 5% more rounds than normal, which is still pretty good.
It's a big, I mean, that's
it's 5%
sizable
difference
is not Yeah, it's
not gonna be mad at that, but it's not some sort of broken, oh my god, nerf resurrection. No.
No,
the
not
wall.
Nerf, no, I think it's strong.
I think still the problem.
I still think I'm a little bit more optimistic on the power of res than you guys are, but I don't think that it's like to the level of Plat Chat that they're talking about, right? Where it's like it's broken. It's not Mercy Overwatch res, where obviously those guys are kind of coming from and trying to kind of apply that logic to Valorant, which doesn't obviously work for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I think it's a general argument. I haven't completely finished their episode, but it's a very general kind of vacuum argument where it's like the idea of rezzing somebody in a tactical shooter is very strong. The problem is once you apply it to a professional setting, you get people like Hayes trying to res somebody, and then one of the Immortals guys peeks and gets a double off of the respawn, right? Like it's not as cut and dry as it seems. It's not just boom, they're instantly back up and holding an angle. You have to go through this giant kind of casting animation. They kind of float in the air for what feels like ages. And we've discovered how to use technology, and the ages have just flashed before our eyes. And now I actually am rezzed and can walk on my own 2 feet again, and then I'm dead again. So I think Sage just has so much utility and has so much flexibility. You can be aggressive with the wall. You can boost it. Ascent's super good for her. I still think she's very, very good. She anchors well. The heal's nice. I don't think that's busted, but it's very useful. I see where people are going with the super fast, aggressive, double flash, maybe double smoke instead of having Sage. It just limits you. Maybe as teams like Cloud9 continue to progress with their bind map style with these double smokers, maybe I'll be swayed, but as of right now, I think that just having the wall and being able to kind of physically control where I can be shot and not shot from, still very, very strong.
I think like maybe I'm just like, my view is tainted of what the meta has been like and how it has been this push and pull of utility more so than like the hard and fast type of stuff. And like maybe you also want to hit the side where not necessarily Sage is the highest probability to hit, or also the angle on the side where the Sage isn't holding. So like an example would be like on Haven, it's very easy to not hit the Sage side, of course.
Sure. Yeah, usually teams have like TSM always has Haze. Like early it was like him and Sub Rosa I think would play A and push through A long to kind of control that long angle. But now it seems like he's just committed to C solo, and they're just, for whatever reason, I know the reason why, but they're doing a lot of jump peeking, like drones jump peeking his Phoenix on A to try and check the boxes on A long, but they're doing a lot of that. Hayes seems like he's playing that site kind of alone with Wardell, sometimes kind of popping in and out. Sub Rosa is now kind of picking up the op on that map too on defense, so they're kind of all over the place. They have a pretty unique style, I'd say, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think Sage is good. I think there is merit to be had elsewhere.
Title of the episode.
But I still think Sage
is good.
Sage is still good. As much as you nerf her,
Sage is fine.
Yeah, but what I mean is basically like if you hit a site, and there's always two entrances to a site, maybe you don't take the one where the slow up is most likely to be applied quickly.
Sure. Where
you actually push into her. And it's not always possible. For instance, on bind, if you're attacking A, it's not like you're not 5-man pushing through showers. It just doesn't happen. That's terrible.
More often than not, you're kind of sending 1 through showers, 4 up mid, and then you do the wall to kind of cut A side off so you can get that quick plant for mid, right? Like that seems to be like a very default across the board accepted strategy, very similar on Haven. B on attack, where you're walling one of the 50-50s, planning for the other, and then you just play through mid. Very, very normal kind of eco strat that you see teams kind of break out just to get plant money.
It still feels like it's very easy to get caught with your pants down if like a Sage slows into short, and then there's just someone in heaven just like, he has to multi-peek probably into more people. So that is maybe that's why it works. But it's like if I'm thinking there's an op sitting there and he's actually good at close peeking and not really exposing himself to like all of the 3 people that he's peeking into. I don't hate that. I think like that's especially when the Sage also swings, like that's probably not a bad place to be.
For sure. It's kind of interesting to see who's playing Sage as well. I won't speak on who Hazed is, but I guess my question would be, was he known to be a caller? Was he known to kind of be a little bit more tactical? Is that where we're seeing Sage's kind of more geared towards, is, you know, the in-game leaders? Is that the kind of supporting role that?
And that's the strange thing, because you know who the best Sage in the world is?
Happy?
No.
Oh, is it Scream? Scream.
It's Scream.
Okay.
So what? Why? Like that's the guy with the nuts aim. Why is he playing?
Why is
Sage,
he playing
right?
Sage? Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Like
Europe's got a weird read.
Yeah. That's the only thing that speaks a little bit against your, like, ideally, or I mean, us coming from Overwatch, we're like, support. That guy must be the shot caller.
Right.
Also because he wants to be alive for a long time so he can heal the most people and resurrect the most people. So from that point of view, it makes sense. Also, just like having the brainy guy throw the slow ops and time them is probably a good idea. But yeah, generally, I would say I agree with you on paper. There's just a couple of instances where that's not the case for some reason.
Like,
maybe that's because
I think Wardell played
runners.
Sage for a hot minute for TSM for a little bit. So they seem to be shuffling that around. I think just very generally, it seems like that's the way that things are going, but there are some definite exceptions. Yeah, weird amounts of Reyna, weirdly enough. Immortals very high on the pick. Code 7 very high on the pick. I don't know if that's just a growing pain. I don't know if that's just a comfort pick where, you know, these players kind of latched onto it, spammed it a bunch on the unrated ladder and then scrims, and they're just running with it. I'm genuinely curious as to what Gunba has to say about it. I'm probably gonna have to give him a ring and see why exactly are we running Reyna. What do we see here? Outside of, I think Pansy had a great point on the bit of plat chat that I caught in talking about repositioning with the op is interesting, but I feel like Jet does that better. To her point, everything that she does, other people can do and do better most of the time. Like the ability to use Lear as a kind of like a flash tool is strong, but that's it. That's all she has. Everything else is completely just fine.
And I think that's it as well. Like, that's probably the reason. The confusing part is that they even play it on Haven, where I feel like that's
you need the utility to stall. Yeah,
I totally understand. Ascent, for instance, like there's so much ground to cover multidimensionally, where it's like Lear just does that so well. Control middle.
Yeah, that's probably where I see it have the most value, is having those wide open areas of maps and having Lear to kind of shut that down as your team goes in. So it's not just a flash for one angle and not the other. It's this kind of 360 degrees coverage.
Yeah. And it also needs to be said that the teams in the finals didn't seem to agree and didn't even play Reyna on Ascent or Bind, where it was standard for Immortals.
Yeah, it's just them, and I think Code 7 were the big ones.
Yeah. So
whatever
we'll
reason,
see how that develops. That's an interesting one. Unfortunately, we won't have tournaments anytime soon, or we will.
Well, we got the qualifier for T1 and Nerd Street Gamers this weekend. True. But again, I think most of those matches will be lackluster, to say, or to not mince words. But like the semifinals, like top 4 should be kind of interesting. Looking at teams like Mix Up, you know, Code 7, a lot of these teams, the other half of the Immortals First Light tournament, looking at them to kind of continue making a name for themselves as, you know, kind of tier 2 competition, and see who qualifies, if there's any kind of surprising names. I know, I don't know if they're still around, but I know Same LOL was out there with Buds. Actually looked pretty decent. Shout outs to them, but yeah. I'm getting excited for Valorant finally. We're starting to see some tournaments actually come out. I know Ignition, you know, Riot has come out and talked about their how would you put it? Their partnership with some of these tournaments. I know that Japan has their Rage tournament kind of happening sometime soon, or maybe it's already happened. And G2, I think, is going on at the moment. So yeah, G2's kind of dull, but we'll get to it.
Can we talk a second though about this? Because there is something that I think we've seen it in our Discord, discord.me/Yiska, by the way, and conversations going on there about how difficult it is to follow the tournament scene right now, and understandably frustrated. I don't think anybody is wrong for being frustrated, because there's a lot of small tournaments. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of shuffle. It's really difficult. There's no real good centralized place. Like even, the esports tab in, on Twitch, Juked, are like, it's really difficult for all of them to stay on top of things. And then of course the rosters are switching around and consolidating and moving so much. And, I think we're about to get into like the honeymoon phase of like these larger small tournaments of like budding teams, but right now we are still a little bit in the what's the right term for it? The like we're just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, from players to teams to tournament organizers to prize pools to schedules to tournament formats. It's a lot. I get it.
I don't think we'll see roster shuffling kind of calm down anytime soon. I think that's going to be like a very common thing. I'd be surprised if it started to quiet down. I think we're starting to John's point. We're getting into our first like big events. Like this T1 showdown with Nerd Street Gamers, I think is going to be a big event. That's one that if you're interested in Valorant esports, that's going to be like the first. That's like the Atlantic Showdown for Overwatch fans of 2016. That's like the first giant event that is going to, the Overwatch Opens, those kind of events. You're going to want to pay attention to that. You're going to want to see that. You're going to see T1. You're going to hopefully see C9 sign a whole roster and play. You might even see 100 Thieves with Hiko. Again, still not a ton of news on that front, but super exciting off the back of that one player. A lot of stories to be told, a lot of interesting teams to kind of play against each other. I'm already interested. I'm mad that I didn't get to see Immortal C9, because I think that would have been a fantastic match. Gen G looks good too. Like, it started to get exciting, and I think we're only going to continue seeing these bigger events, not in terms of scale and scope, but just actual invitationals, because we actually have teams to invite, and not just, all right, we're going to invite Mix Up, welcome. It's Gen G and Cloud9 and 100 Thieves.
Oh, that actually had me a little bit ruffled when, like, Ocelot from G2 tweeted like, if we were to do another tournament, what would you like, blah blah blah, and someone said like, yeah, we want, like, what about no invitationals and that type of stuff, and he answers like, yeah, well, currently it's a bad idea because we don't know or full teams, sorry, like we want to invite full teams, blah blah blah. And he says like, well, currently it's a bad idea because we don't know who the best teams in Valorant are, so we can't invite them. Why do you not know? You galaxy brain. Is it really that you don't have a team right now and that's why you can't invite your own? Is that your reason?
Is that not weird too?
He's taking it slow. I understand it there, but like, don't hamper the entire scene because you don't have a team ready. Like, your tournament is hot garbage, and it actually, I don't think it even accomplishes. Let me see. It's currently going on, I think, right? Like,
yeah.
How many viewers should that thing have?
Again, like, we're nearing the point where it's gonna become unacceptable to continue having these like mix-up streamer haha fun time meme games.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, when are we gonna start to see teams flesh each other out and play games and play Valorant instead of just playing pugs for money?
3K views currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a problem with Valorant in general, is like, we're not A, we don't have ranked, so like people aren't like super jazzed about that. And then B, like we don't have the storyline starting to develop when I think we could. And I think that's kind of what Immortals showed me, at least, is that this game is going to be a very successful esport once we want it to be. And the only way we want it to be is when we have people like Carlos, we have people like Jack, when we have people like T1 and Joe Marsh and whatnot coming out and making events. And that's what we're seeing in the West, or at least in North America, I should say. But Europe seems to be kind of slow to move, which isn't bad. It's just kind of curious. I wonder why. Yeah. Is it because they don't have a team yet? Is it because they don't want to kind of...
It's probably because they didn't have 500 people participating in the open alpha. Professional teams are moving very slow.
Yeah.
EU CS players are actually good enough to play in Tier 1 CS while also playing online events right now. And they're not being really the
That's the scary part too. Is there's going to be an EU team once COVID kind of calms down, hopefully, knock on wood. There's going to be like some Danish like stack team that nobody knows about that's just going to come in and just give people hands, bro. Like it's
every Scandinavian country is going to have one, and then there's going to be one Russian and one Ukrainian team where you're just like, what? Where are these guys coming from? And, like to a degree that already happened during Twitch Rivals, by the way, where there was like a cis mix that was nuts.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, I feel like the very easy answer to the question is we don't know who the best teams are. Run open qualifiers, my dude.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm hyped about the T1 event, because they have incorporated them. I still think the ratio is ridiculous, but I hope the open qualifier teams just stomp their way through at least the midfield of the invitational candidates, so we can finally do away with the illusion that like streamers can hang with the big boys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was tilting to see how much praise Myth was getting. And again, he didn't play bad, but it's not like he's going to get signed to be a pro player, guys. Like, simmer down. He had a great match, popped off a little bit. Not going to get signed. It's also wouldn't be who of him to sign. Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
Dude, it's just like I'm looking at this tournament right now. It's like your average. It's the simulation of the average Valorant lobby right now. Like Mixwell is top fragging with 15 kills, while his streamer boy got 2 kills right now. Who's this? Like, come on, man! Just
you know who's kind of disappointing me? I was hoping that maybe Mendo could have a redemption arc. Not seeing it.
Where is he?
Not seeing it. I don't know. No idea. But saw him bottom frag quite a bit on Reyna in Twitch Rivals and was kind of disappointed. And I know got a lot of praise from some of the CS guys. Again, somebody who was talented at Overwatch is talented at Valorant.
Praise in Overwatch too.
Yeah, this is a very talented kid. I don't know why he's not on one of these teams.
I was already like, is this kid going to get 100 Thieves? Is he going to get the Bucks?
I mean, if I won't claim to know Hiko's history in CS. I don't know if he's some sort of leader or it can be that veteran presence to kind of mold Mendo and be maybe like an older brother to him to kind of point him in the right direction.
He can, yeah. He had that.
If that's the case, then that would make a lot of sense.
Connection with Simple, for instance, in the past.
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic for him. I think that could be a similar story. Then I think you take a raw, talented player like Mendo and you put him next to Hiko. You fill in some supportive players, and I think you've already got a fantastic team on top of that. I think Hiko doesn't get enough credit. I think just off of the beta performance that he showed with Breach in particular, kind of like latching himself to that character or that agent very, very quickly, showed me that he has the aim, as we've seen in CSGO, but also has that kind of mind for the game to be able to kind of manipulate the walls and the angles and the stuns. I think he's going to be a very, very surprising player to see come out and perform when 100 Thieves wants to actually, sign a team. So, yeah, it's still kind of waited with, we're waiting with bated breath with Valorant esports and whatnot, but we're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there, and I think Immortals First Light was that first taste, and I think T1's going to continue that, and hopefully Riot continues to move on with the Ignition series and signs more teams. Kind of going to the whole narrative point, looking at the global scene and looking at like, oh, where are the best teams from CS coming from? We also have to, talk about Korea as well. Not a huge scene, but it's still growing. It's still there. Dude.
They actually
don't know.
They really don't know. Like it's like another like situation where it's like these American CS kids that are currently populating the subreddits. They don't know about Korean esport yet. No. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but in CS, you don't understand the argument, do you? Like, nobody cares about CS in Korea. As soon as people start caring, that's when it's
and it's not like nuts. Korea has like a bad history. It's just a small history in CS. They've had like halfway decent CS teams, if my memory serves me correctly. Not anything that's going to win a major, but not bad teams by any means. They just had a small population, so they didn't really grow and have the chance to progress before it kind of died and fizzled out. Valorant gives them a nice entry into the space, but it seems like it's also being hampered by Vanguard, which again seems to just kind of plague more than it helps, it feels like. But I will say I agree that I think Korea is probably going to be an insane region if they want to be in the long run. But in the short term, I don't know if we can immediately say that they're the best. How we couldn't say that in Overwatch.
I also legitimately don't think that they are. I'm just saying they have a way to get there.
100%.
Like, you're not prepared for this, my dude. Like, the Overwatch League people, they kind of know what's coming to them. You're not prepared for the 80-hour grind weeks over months type of work ethics that these kids will throw at you. And yes, they will feel significantly less burned out, and it is going to be feasible, and you're going to look worse, and half of you are going to be replaced by them if Korea
if they want to be.
Scanning.
Yeah, if they want to be.
And there's a big I'm not sure, like that's another thing where I'm not sure actually, and I've heard different opinions on, like, apparently currently there's an issue with Valorant in Korea, mainly because
can't play it at PC Bunks.
Yeah, you can't play it at PC Bunks really because of Vanguard.
Yeah.
And there's the play share of PC Bunks have in the recent decade, I would say, not necessarily determined which games are actually sought after, because like more and more people have their own PCs and will play from home.
Sure.
So while it's still an indicator and it's still not good, like how big or how small the player base is, like, give it a little time. I think they understand the market in terms of like the appeal. I think we'll see. That the interesting thing about this game is that it is pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
In terms of like everything, like it might not feel that way to people that have internalized CS mechanics, but CS shooting mechanics of like movement and like accuracy and like the snowballing effect of one good player and whatnot, like what he can do, that is a very anti-casual sort of game that will only attract a certain crowd. I would think, though, that crowd is higher in Korea in terms of the play share of people. They are more into that stuff. Okay. So we'll see how this all develops. Maybe they actually don't culturally lock into that into
Maybe.
And in that case, okay, then like free reign
on Europe.
Yes, I would even say, maybe then Europe is going to be ahead. But yeah, currently, like, I don't think there's much of an argument that NA is slightly ahead, seems to be slightly ahead, simply because of already, there's way more teams recruited fully that are scrimming full time. There are way more people that had alpha access, even though there was some alpha access in Europe as well. Like, there's really not that many fully signed teams in Europe. Can I name one?
NIP, maybe. The only one.
Nip? Yeah.
The only one off the top of my head. I think there are some smaller ones. I think I saw Godsend kind of pop around a little bit, but still not super familiar with that either. So it's Europe's slow to this. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I feel like this would be the game to get into the ground floor and start to sign people very quickly. You've got people like Happy and Scream and these legendary EU names kind of floating around. So it's very peculiar. I'm not sure why. Maybe it is like a business thing that they're not. Yeah, we'll see. It's bizarre. Interested to see once those teams start to emerge, once we see, a team like Fish 123 kind of go forward and actually get signed and how they perform. Hip also, to his credit, looking very solid in Europe with the team that he's kind of built. I don't know if he's built it in particular. I don't know if we should give him architect credits in that way, but doing well for himself in Valorant. Fantastic. I think he kind of really turned me on. I know last show, 2 weeks ago, talking a lot about wall banging, that kind of was put into my head by Hip's team. A lot of wall checking, a lot of spamming. I think we're starting to see that more and more with Ascent. I think we're going to see a lot of it. I think it's going to be kind of obnoxious once it goes into the ladder.
I'm going to be really good at it. I'm going to be the type of player that I can't shoot a moving player, but I'm going to memorize those angles. I'm going to memorize those angles, and I'm going to get like 5 kills a game just off of like, I know where you are.
Yeah.
Little bitch,
Yep. Recon over the wall and I see somebody, you're getting sprayed through the wall. That's going to be a common occurrence. I think people more and more are going to be running out of ammo, running out of bullets. I think to John's point, I will concede a little bit on the rate of fire discussion. I think Brimstone's stim beacon is useful on pistol rounds. And outside of that, I still think it's useless. I find it very good. I think it's very good on pistols. Outside of that, not so much. Also seeing Wardell's kind of changing my mind with I can never remember the name of it, but I only know the CS equivalent of the Scout. I think it's called the Marshall in Valorant. Marshall. Being super good on 1 pistol round, so round 2 after winning the pistol. Very, very strong because the enemy team's not buying armor. So we're seeing some guns develop, seeing a little bit of Bucky, which I'm pleasantly, my heart's happy with, but still rifles are very, very strong. Yeah, just a good time with Valorant so far. We're growing, we're getting there finally, and excited to see what comes with Ignition, because I think tying something like a new agent teaser with the introduction of ranked, with the introduction of more tournaments added to the qualification, kind of pseudo qualification for the Ignition kind of series in general, maybe the announcement of a major tournament at the end of Ignition, right? Like tying all these things together, that would kind of feel like a proper release, because I think, again, talking about it on the last show, didn't feel like release was like all that exciting. It was just like the same, just a little bit more on top of it. Once we get some more news to tie on top of the ranked announcement and the ranked release and the new agent teaser, having these drip fed moments, I think is going to propel this in the future, because I think looking at some of the discussions right now, especially, granted it's Twitter, but people are kind of skeptical with the viewership and how it's being handled, and the decrease in popularity since beta is a little staggering. I don't know if we have thought
like the delta, right? It's not so much that I think that the viewership is so exceptionally bad in Valorant right now, as much as how I'm just so surprised at how inflated it was during beta.
Yeah.
Like, and let's be real, anybody who wanted to get a key in beta, I think, and put their mind to it a little bit, got one within the first week to 2 weeks.
Wow. True.
And some people got multiple.
Yes.
Let's be real. So I'm just really surprised to like go back and see, it's just a little bit above Overwatch numbers a lot of the time. That's a bit higher,
which
than
is,
that, but
still, I mean, that's surprising though.
But yeah,
Overwatch
still,
is
like Overwatch. Yeah, Overwatch is that's not a good thing. Overwatch is a big game, but when it comes to Twitch viewership, especially post Overwatch League, it's pretty doo-doo.
Struggling.
And yeah, so like, I don't know. I was concerned. I think ranked definitely helps. I also just think that, you know, hey, guess what? Not every great game needs to be a great streaming game.
Nope.
And not every
100%.
great game that you love to play isn't necessarily a game that you love to watch. But
I will say that can be solved with major events, and that's why I hope Riot really gets the ball moving with this Ignition series, so we get our first major and we get our first definition of what a major is going to be and what kind of teams are going to be invited to that, because that's going to be where we reach those million peaks and those 500,000 peaks that we did in beta, just like how CS does it. CS in general is a very popular game, 100%. I won't speak with an expert's eye on this, but I think numbers peak and kind of dwindle when major events happen. You get people to watch. You get people to go, oh man, I haven't played CS in a minute. I just watched C9 win the major. Let me go install Global Offensive again and pop off. Like,
and then they kind of watch they
watch, they play a little bit,
and they watch, you know, some other streams for the next week or so. They're like, oh, that was fun.
It gets you back interested. So
I've done that with TFT.
Yeah, they gotta be quick with it. They gotta put on a good show.
When's our TFT podcast happening though? That's the real question. Oh man, that was.
I want to like that game.
That was the most fun month of my life. Joe, you would be challenger by now if you had just stuck with it. You were so good.
Nah,
you were so good.
I feel like I can identify some trends.
Gold.
I think Yiska has the heart to be able to grind. It's not in me anymore. And just in general, like, he's that kind of stubborn. I'm very flippant with the things that I do, or I'm just like, I could work, I could go watch something, I could de-stress, I could go read one of these behemoths. So it's like, he's the type of person to get the itch to like do something and just stubbornly like stick to it and be mad about it.
And just like, I'm gonna do it and just boom, boom, boom.
I used to have that. I don't have that anymore.
I'm definitely like, I could probably be very happy for at least like 3 years just sitting in a peanut factory, just boxing peanuts and just like being my head. And that's also what like in the past when I played like shooters, I could just sit there, put a podcast or like a show on and just sit there and grind aim.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I go, that's the one part of myself that I miss, is that when I was younger, like with Halo, you'd come home and you'd sit in the octagon, BRs, headshots only, and you would just sit there and you would shoot for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And like you never she actually never thought about it. Like, just like, oh, this is a grinder. Oh, I got to keep going. Just like, no,
it's just what you did.
This is what I'm doing. This is And now it's like, it was the same thing for like musical instruments now too, where it's like you used to sit 15 hours a day playing bass guitar, and now I'm like, seems like a lot of work.
I could be doing something.
I wonder if it's just like, if the ability to not apply structure to those things makes me not feel effective, and that frustrates me more than just like, just put in the time.
It's, you know what Grand Marshal is, or you both know, right? Like, from what the only
did you get Grand Marshal, you absolute sweat lord?
I would have hit Grand Marshal if I didn't hook up with one of the members on my group, where we just both like quit because we had better things to do.
Bro,
otherwise I would have absolutely grinded too.
I feel like European WoW was just a mass amount of
dude.
Just debauchery.
I don't know if I told you guys, but like my raid guild, like the raid leader and the hunter leader, legitimately had the first WoW child, and it was on the Blizzard website and everything. I remember that vividly. Just going, well, he was called Rodan or Rohan or something like that. Like that was I was still like, that kid must be 14 now or something. That's insane. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely like also the type of kid that would farm mana potions so I could out DPS the rogue, standing between two molten core giants, spamming arcane explosion, because on 2 targets that was actually more DPS than spamming crossbow and stuff like that. Just dumb stuff.
You just don't have it anymore. Just don't have the drive to want to sweat it out and be like, oh, how can I cheese the meters today?
It's called
existential dread.
That's the thing. Like, I think when you're young, you have that nest building energy where it's like you gotta, you gotta get like the position in your tribe. You gotta build your house, and I put that into grinding Grand Marshal and never getting it. And like at some point you then have stop with the nest building aspect, and then you become a parent or whatever, which I've stopped forgone for an esports career.
We don't have that excuse, do we?
That's the fun thing about seeing esports progress and seeing the ideas continue, and obviously kind of tying this to Valorant is we'll have somebody like Who Are You, if you're familiar with Overwatch, come out of Korea. We'll have somebody similarly to a young Brax come in and just be surprising and build his house with his people, which are in esports. We're getting to that generation where your people are in competitive games, and to kind of obtain that hierarchy to get, what would be Grand Marshal now is to get signed to, T1.
Yeah.
Which is completely like, you say that to me 10 years ago and I kind of giggle at you, but it's reality right now. And I think it's impressive that it's a reality in COVID. And I'm excited to see what post-COVID looks like and post-2020, because good Lord, has it been a hell of a year.
It has.
Yeah.
This has been a hell
use your fruitful years well, guys.
Yes.
You have only so many. Now I'm still like pulling the same hours, but like I definitely at the time was just like, oh, you're feeling a little uncomfortable. Let's just like chill for a second. Now it's like, okay, we gotta measure my temperature. What's this doing? Like, oh, did I sleep 5 minutes enough? Like, you have to weigh your food and that type of thing, only to be a functional human being.
Yeah, that sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dude,
getting old sucks. Don't. Just
don't.
Oh
Man.
Refuse to get older.
That was a fun little tangent at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Easy to close it out.
Yeah, whatever.
You got a little hardcore Valorant. You got some fun loose ties around esports. You got everything. That's a podcast. We do what we want.
It's a long form content. Welcome to the concept. And thanks for hanging out with us. Do make sure to go to twitter.com/SpikeDrop, twitch.tv/KickedTripod, and youtube.com/SpikeDrop. If you like the show and want to go listen to past episodes or stay in touch and let us know. No new subs during the show today, but do hang out with us. We are going to be doing game night at discord.me/Yiska out. If you're in the chat and you haven't joined us before, and we stream everything on there, we're not going to stream it live to Twitch. And at least while we're waiting on partner, I can't do it to our viewership unless you guys want me to stream on one of your channels. I don't mind doing that at all.
I couldn't even tell you the password to my Twitch channel right now.
Fair
if
enough.
I sign out, I'm getting back in.
Anyways,
I'm also looking forward to putting my feet up.
Oh, thanks.
Fair enough. So, hey, an anonymous gifter just gifted a sub. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Milkai, you just got a sub. You're welcome. From Anonymous. So, let's do shout outs for the week, where you can find us. I'm going to go first because I don't do a lot of tertiary content outside of the show. But I actually had a pretty cool opportunity. Elgato sent me their Wave 1 and Wave 3 microphones to review ahead of time, and I've been doing that over the past week. And I worked really hard on the video, posted it up at youtube.com/John Horstman. my personal channel. I have to change it because it's my name right now. I can't decide if I'm going to go with my name or KickedTripod for things anymore. But that review went live, and I am pretty proud of it. So I hope people enjoyed it. And also, you can hop into my personal Discord. I'm doing more stuff. If you're more on the technology, streaming, audio type of stuff, and you want to like learn and talk and hang out with like-minded people, discord.me/KickedTripod is where you can go. And it's a really cool group of people, pretty small little core group right now, but a ton of fun to be a part of. So yeah, otherwise find me everywhere else at KickedTripod, Twitch, YouTube, all that stuff. We're still waiting on our partner decision. I don't know, they're taking a while. COVID, I get it.
DJ Wheat, what's up?
Yeah,
what's up, Wheat? Come on, let's get to it. I don't know who's our manager, but let's get this man a partner badge.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Joe, what about you, man?
You can find me everywhere on all the socials at Volamel. I'm not gonna spell it out. It's too hot. I'm sweaty. You'll follow me if you want. This weekend though, basically after we're done with the party time, that is a game night for the patrons. I'm gonna be finishing up my Shaxx feature, which has some fantastic quotes from some lovely people in the Overwatch community. So if you're interested in Overwatch, you're interested in Shaxx, somebody who I think actually could make a fantastic name for themselves in Valorant if they wanted to, check that piece out over at GG Recon. And yeah, I think next week we'll return to the Valorant content, maybe a little bit, doing a little bit more analysis, feeling the itch again. So yeah, stay tuned.
Sweet. Yiska, what about you, man?
I just put out my predictions for the Overwatch weekend. Put out a little info thing about the GTU Invitational. Wasn't too much to talk about given the nature of the tournament. We'll see. It's probably going to be a little bit better leading up to the T1 tournaments, depending on who's invited, and then we can create content for that. We'll maybe snatch a player or two. We'll see. Other than that, you can always follow me on @YiskaOut on Twitter.
Sweet. Chat, thanks for hanging out with us today. If you're listening on audio, thank you as well. Sorry we've been kind of inconsistent over the past month. It's we're all growing together, figuring this out, trying to be consistent, trying to have all the episodes and managing our stuff. We all work full-time jobs, and then we do another show twice a week, and now we do this one, and then we do like our own personal content on our own time. And some of us are reading Brandon Sanderson, some of us are married, some of us are from Germany. So yeah.
Do a book club.
So are you reading the Stormlight Chronicles?
Yep, I got all three that just came in today.
Dude, so good, man.
They just came in, so we're diving into that after I finish that arc.
Dude, I loved. I actually last year when there was time where I was going to the gym every night at like 11 o'clock and just like going on I was trying to get back into shape, but I just didn't have time. But I listened to all those books.
Yeah.
Over the course of like 5-6 months.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well, like this, the Stormlight Archive and Siddhartha both have been recommended to me through the universe a number of times throughout these last, like, I'd say 2 years.
It's gonna be great,
so it's like, it's about time. It's about time.
Nice. All right, chat. Well, we're out of here. Hopefully we see you for game night. Discord.me/YiskaOut again. We'll see you there. I don't know, like we're technically starting at 2, but I'm probably gonna, grab a drink and go to the bathroom and then just hop in and chill until we feel like starting and get enough people to start a game. So definitely do that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on Spike Drop. Bye, guys.
Bye.